very good evening to all of you all. Thank you so much for investing your time with us on a Friday evening and joining our panel discussion on the topic, how crypto investors are dealing with 30% tax on crypto profit transactions. My name is Rekha Khan and I'm going to be moderating the panel discussion today. On joining, you would notice that you all are in mute. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please write them on the chat section. I'm sure today I can expect maximum questions from all of you. From the creator of Odin, MCX and IEX, here is yet another credible and exchange-neutral platform a user can rely on while walking towards the path of crypto and blockchain understanding. Starting from education to knowledge to all the latest news, all covered under one super app, CryptoWire. Let me first take you through the world's first crypto university, Crypto TV, and CryptoWire services. We all know that crypto and blockchain ecosystem is emerging at an immense speed, and to keep a track of all the events, prices, and news looks to be difficult. So what if we have a buddy like our own buddy who is, CryptoWire, who is a global crypto super app? Let's now take you through the app briefly. Let's start with the homepage of the app, which covers all the three verticals: Crypto University, Crypto TV, and CryptoWire services. Under the CryptoWire services, we have rolled out India's first global index of cryptos, IC15. This is yet another feather in CryptoWire's hat. It tracks the performance of the top 15 cryptocurrencies globally based on market capitalization. Crypto enthusiasts and crypto traders can take informed decisions based on IC15. Coming to WireWatch, in this section, we can monitor the best exchange to buy and the best exchange to sell a particular cryptocurrency. In the center of the screen, we can also monitor the arbitrage opportunity available between the two exchanges for the same cryptocurrency. There are more than 350 cryptocurrencies listed on our platform, along with 70 crypto exchanges worldwide. Coming to Crypto TV, it's an exclusive 24/7 mobile IPTV covering everything on crypto and blockchain ecosystem. It's currently available in 4 different languages: English, Hindi, Gujarati, and Marathi. Coming to Crypto University, being the world's first digital university to offer courses on crypto and blockchain, you can find the best courses offered by MIT and University of Michigan at a single click of the app. With this, today we are going to be having an amazing panel discussion on how crypto investors are dealing with a 30% tax on crypto profit and transactions, where we'll be discussing about the tax implications on crypto trading and how it's impacting the industry and how are they coping up with this. All this from a CA, lawyer, trader, crypto enthusiast, and a crypto expert perspective. Let's have a healthy discussion to increase our knowledge. So here's a format to give you an idea of what is to be expected in today's discussion. We'll take a few moments to briefly introduce the panel members and tell you a little bit about their background in the industry. I will kick off the conversation asking few questions that draw some light on the hottest topic of today. And then the last but not the least, we can have an audience question that you all can type on the chat section, and we'll ask the speakers to address the same. Hope this sounds good. Great. Let's get started with the panel discussion, panel introduction. First up, I have with me Mr. Varun Sethi, a tech lawyer profession. He believes in helping Indian ideas grow into startup businesses and then into bigger entrepreneurial ventures. He has helped more than 280 plus tech startups. 62% of his total clientele have been funded by the world's top 50 VC firms and have been recognized by the government for their innovation. He is a registered mentor at Startup India and contributor to the startup and the blockchain regulation of India and 6 other countries. Welcome to the session, sir.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
Second up, I have with me Mr. Yash Kumar Purohit, who is a blockchain developer and a trader by profession. He has been in the crypto and blockchain industry since 2015. He has done his web programming from Harvard University, and he is a founder of Altram, which is a media analytic and crypto buying platform for the recent and the future generation of investors, traders, influencers, and learners exploring how cryptocurrency and blockchain technology are devoting to the evolution of the global financial system. Their goal is to inform, educate, analyze, and connect the global investment community through news, technical data, events, and education, which is very similar to what CryptoWire does. Welcome to the session, sir. Next in the panel, we have Mr. Keshav. He is a CFA, CA, FRM chartered holder. Keshav has about a decade of experience in the finance and operational domain. He is currently heading business and operations at crypto native HFT organization, having the latest presence as the market makers in India and rapidly expanding into international territories. He has prior work experience in handling various platform portfolio at a global hedge fund, D. Shaw, and has also worked with a leading chartered accountancy and consulting firm handling corporate taxation. Welcome to the session, Keshav, sir.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. Fourth in the panel, we have Mr. Saurabh Bansal. He is a crypto enthusiast, having 15 years of experience in the IT, financial, and insurance industry. He likes to be on the right side of the government policies. He is a strong believer of awareness among the masses for strong growth of any asset class. He feels mass hysteria is the reason which drives away people whenever there is correction. So understanding the project and all legal aspect on it is very important. Welcome, sir. Last, but the most important person in the panel today is Mr. Ajoy Pathak, a crypto expert. Ajoy comes with 20 years of rich experience in the field of training, research, and development. Being an early adapter of the new technology, Mr. Ajoy has great expertise in understanding the fundamentals of crypto and blockchain industry. His passion for training and education has got him a long way. Hi, Ajoy. Welcome to today's panel.
Thank you, Rekha, but your kind words are very inflationary in nature, and I'm still an enthusiast, to be very honest, and I'm looking forward to learn from elite panelists over here about the tax and other aspects of it. So thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So welcome to you all once again. So today this panel is going to be discussing specifically 10 questions that we have for today's session, and I'm sure most of you will be waiting for the same answers like our viewers. I'm going to start off with my first question for our panelist. And the first question I would like Mr. Keshav to address. What are the chances of GST being implemented on cryptocurrency, and how will this affect the market?
Yeah, so this is a very interesting question. And to answer this, I'll break it in two parts. So this tax is levied on services and goods. First, starting with the services part, right now, still exchanges are paying 18% GST. The debate can be that this service component is increased to 28% of service charge or 28% of GST. So if I just talk in terms of numbers, out of if 100 rupees is traded and 1 rupees is the commission, then it's just a change from 18 paisa per trade to 28 paisa per trade as a GST. But the other component which can have a significant impact is if this entire 100 rupees which was traded falls within the purview of GST. That's something which we don't have a clarification yet. Hopefully, when we have the GST Council meet during the second half of this month, we'll have some more clarity. But if that happens, then that could be a very big impact. That's saying that on the entire 100 rupees of transaction, there's a 28% of GST levied. That's 28 rupees of GST. So if that's the case, then definitely that's a big impact. And that I think would not be favorable for a lot of traders out there in India.
Absolutely. I agree to that. With already the 30% tax levied on them, I think a 28% is going to be an additional load on them. So can I have the other panelists to also share their views or any questions further on what Keshav ji has told us?
If I may just step in to what Keshav had mentioned. So Keshav is right in saying that currently the law in India is such that the 28% or currently the 18% is levied on the commission, that is the gas fees that the exchanges charge. However, another viewpoint to it is that currently India does not differentiate between NFTs and cryptos or utility or security tokens per se. And there's a very clear case that happened with Amitabh Bachchan, the actor, wherein he was selling his NFTs and the GST department stated that sale of NFT would attract and 18% GST on the total gross value. That is the 100 rupees that Keshav was mentioning. So what India needs to do from a legal perspective is that, first of all, understand and respect that NFT is a subset or a different asset class than other assets like utility tokens or security tokens. Currently, all these are put under a single basket, and that is why this controversy is rising. But currently, yes, the GST rate is 18%, which is expected to be sort of grown to 28%. Perhaps government thinks this is an interesting industry to collect higher rates of taxes. But I think when we look at sort of world around us, Singapore specifically mentioned that they will not be charging the standard 7% GST that they have in their country. And there are other countries also which have currently not levied, like Portugal, have not levied GST on the crypto transactions. So India can draw some notion from what is happening around the world.
Sure. Is there anybody else who would like to share their views on this? Yash ji, aapko kuch bolna hai? Saurabh ji, Ajoy, anything that you guys would want to ask or say on this particular point? Okay, so I think we can move on to
just continuing on what Varun and Keshav said, basically what I feel, and Yash and Saurabh, you can participate in whenever you feel that if my discussion is not really getting done. My understanding is that we are in India, we are trying to force fit the existing laws and regulations on the cryptocurrencies. We have certain set of laws for securities, we have certain set of laws for commodities and things like that. So those things are very much structured, and we are trying to force fit them, or even for currencies. I mean, certain point of time, a big, huge debate was like whether it to be considered as currencies or not. So finally, something has come up that ki virtual assets bana ke dete. I mean, assets ka bhi bahut sara roop hai. I mean, everything is not really asset. I mean, NFT is a different class of asset altogether. Utility tokens are tokens again. It's like gift cards, your Sodexo gift coupons. Those are also tokens. So tokens hai, kuch virtual assets hai, kuch payment systems hai, and things like that. So the nature of these things are totally different. So if you're trying to bunch them under one umbrella category and then try to force fit something onto it, you'll always get it wrong. On the other hand, I think a totally different kind of an approach should be taken, in which you basically classify things like that. And cryptocurrency trading is not the only source of income. Ek slab laga diya, uspe 30% ka tax ya GST and something like that also does not justify. What happens to the airdrops? You know, what happens to the mining? What happens to the minting? And all this, what happens to the whitelisted products? Do you have any clarity regarding all these things? So, I mean, जितना सारा जवाब नहीं आता है, उससे ज्यादा सवाल आते हैं अभी के जो सिचुएशन है उसमें से. So yeah, very much
speculation. That's why it's called it's still not clear. So many people are.
The thing is, it is cryptocurrency is a volatile asset class.
Exactly.
The prices are very volatile. So people or the speculators are speculating on the prices of it. Today, in this panel, I believe what we are speculating is what the government is about to do. That's also kind of a speculation. हम लोग को किसी को पता नहीं government करने क्या वाली है. और हम लोग अभी बैठ करके उसके बारे में बात करें तो ये भी speculation ही हुआ ना दादा.
Absolutely.
Simple है. So it has opened up more speculation than it has curbed speculation. If you see, or in different way altogether. Baki Savi log, please, you can put in your views about this.
One thing I would like to add with Mr. Joy. One thing, what he told is that was a good thing, that we have to make it a completely different class. It cannot come under asset, and definitely it cannot come under currency, specifically in India. So we need to have a discussion among all the stakeholders how we are going to do it. So the thing is, whether it would come under RBI, whether it would come under SEBI or a different type of that law enforcement field, we need it. So that too, one thing the government told about it, that they are thinking of putting it on a global basis. So they are trying to make a law and putting all the stakeholders. That means all the countries included. So this global law, it would take time, but before that, there should be some clarity how we are going to do that.
Right, obviously. True. Yes, जी आपको कुछ बोलना है इस पे?
No, actually, मुझे GST on all legal compliances में ज़्यादा कुछ है नहीं, ज़्यादा.
Okay.
No
issues. So then I'm assuming we can go into our second question.
Just to add one more thing here.
Sure.
The government actually did clarify, and very controversially rather clarified. It stated that SEBI, which is the Security Exchange Board of India, shall be the regulatory authority or a proposed regulatory authority to take care of all the regulatory framework being created. However, in 2018, we had written a right to information application to the Reserve Bank of India. And the responses that we received was that since 2013, as early as 2013, India has already come up with some kind of notification, not a regulatory framework, but notifications, which are still there on the government of India's Reserve Bank of India's website, which means that the government has been cautioning the Indian citizens and Indian users regarding the use of what they call as VCs or virtual currencies. It means that, in our opinion, Reserve Bank of India was the rightful regulatory framework. Why? Because there are this USDTs and other cryptos can actually be traded cross country, which means that FEMA laws need to be updated, and FEMA falls under the Reserve Bank of India. However, very interestingly, the government actually came up with this notion that SEBI, which is the securities agency in India, which is equivalent to the US SEC, that becomes a regulatory authority. Now, that is where the controversy came. It was the Reserve Bank of India doing all the hard work since 2013. And now SEBI is being entrusted with this authority. I think that is where the controversy seeps in. And that is where the government has to see what other countries, like I'll give you a specific example. HMRC, which is equivalent to the income tax department in the UK, they have come up with clear taxation guidelines on if you trade cryptos, if you mine cryptos, and there are other various categories. So HMRC, similarly, Indian income tax authorities have not come up with any clear notification even after the Honorable Supreme Court judgment of March 4, 2020. And that is where all these controversies and all these questions come up by the users, that who do we look to? Currently, if there is crypto fraud, you go to a police station and you ask them to register a FIR, they don't understand under which provisions of the civil law, the criminal law, do they have to file the FIR. I think that is where the regulatory framework has to precede the taxation framework. Currently, India proposed a taxation, but they did not propose the regulatory framework. That is where the thing is coming, which is different from what is happening around the world.
True. Absolutely. Agreed. So is anybody wanting to say something, or can I go on to the next question?
Please move on.
Okay, so the next question, the second question that we have is again, I would ask, Mr. Keshav to first take the lead on this. How will the short-term and the long-term capital gains be taxed?
So this question had a lot of relevance before 1st of April, but as per the latest budget, we know that's a flat rate of 30% that's being applied. There's no distinction now on what would be the rate for short term or long term. Whenever we are realizing proceeds, it's a flat rate. So yeah, we are in this unfortunate situation wherein we could have taken a lesser tax rate benefits earlier, but in crypto transactions, if we are selling, realizing, then unfortunately, there's no such distinction, and a flat rate of 30% would be applicable.
Right. Anyone would like to add to it?
Yes, I would like to add a point here. I think lots of people, I will rather try to be slightly different from Keshav. what Keshav said. I look at global taxations around the world. So from that perspective, I feel that currently lots of sort of hue and cry is being made of this 30% taxation. I'll give you an example. Japan taxes cryptos at 35%. Yet people are still willing to trade in the Japanese cryptocurrency exchanges. And there are 2-3 primary reasons for it. While Keshav is right that before 31st of March 2021, even we used to categorize it as short term and long term, and 20% and 10% with indexation and all that stuff with short term at 30%. Currently, government is saying that since we do not understand what exactly is this digital assets, and we are sort of still playing the waiting game. So from that perspective, the government actually put in the highest level of tax rate, which is currently the 30% tax rate. However, my understanding is that the crypto traders or users in India would still be happy to pay the 30% tax and legitimately be contributing to the GDP of the country. What is challenging from the government side, which is different from the Japanese law? Japan taxes 35%, India is doing at 30%, which is better. But what is challenging from the Indian taxation perspective is that they are not allowing set off and carry forward of losses, which means that in case you incur a loss in this year, so let's say that you have you trade Bitcoins and you trade, let's say, Avalanche or other things, you make some gains in Bitcoins and you lose massive value, let's say in Luna or other crypto assets, you're not able to set it off. Now, this set off is still allowed in the Japanese law. Thereby, people are legitimately able to sort of trade, set it off, carry forward losses, set it off against similar speculative incomes. Now, India very categorically, at the time of the budget presentation, mentioned that carry forward and set off is not allowed. Later on in the question hour with the Lok Sabha, they came up with further explanation that even intra head set off, that is, in case you make a gain in Bitcoin and you make a loss in Ethereum, you'll not be able to set off that also. Now, that is what creates a bigger tax liability, which is not heard of in any other major country of the world. I think that is where India is departing from the generally accepted taxation principles of crypto. I think that is where India really needs to sort of be compliant with what other countries of the world are doing. Take, for example, like Singapore, token offering guidelines is there, which was issued by the Singaporean government itself. Now, they clearly mentioned that there are clear set of norms that in case you want to run a cryptocurrency exchange, each and every token within that exchange has to get a legal opinion from a Singaporean lawyer that this is all the tokens are either a security or a utility token, which is a very clear guideline. In India, Supreme Court allowed cryptocurrency exchanges to exist, but there was no such clause. I think this is where India is sort of picking and choosing some laws around the world and not picking and choosing the entire law around the world. And that is where the challenges come to the Indian crypto users. So taxation-wise, yes, Keshav is absolutely right, 30%. But I think my view is that people will be happy to pay 30%, provided that set off and carry forwards are allowed.
One more thing I would like to add. One more thing government has done is that in other asset classes like the commodities or trade options, and you can show your expenses and get a low liability, tax liability. But here even you cannot show your expenses also. It's 30% flat. That's it.
Correct. Only the cost of acquisition is allowed.
अगर मैं mining कर रहा हूँ, if I'm mining, I have some expenses for that mining. I have some, put up some computers, made some capex, have some opex and things like that. आप उसका भी setup नहीं कर सकते हो. और mining में जो भी मेरे को मिलेगा उसमें पूरा 100% value पे आप 30% tax लगाने वाले हो. So
yes,
Varun, Keshav, Saurabh, Yash, my opinion is that they have not really spent much thought, or they have not really invested much, effort while making this announcement. बहुत hurriedly कुछ एक तो सामने ला करके रख दिया है कि भैया ये बजट में करना ही है टाइप्स, ऐसा कोई एक तो ऑब्लिगेटरी ला करके उसके बाद एक्सप्लेनेशंस लेकर के आ रहे हैं. I think that lack of effort in making a comprehensive plan regarding this asset class is quite apparent, quite evident from the way it has been, doled out, and the way it has been, roughly presented, like what you say, pick and choose from different aspects put together, और एक mosaic ला करके सामने रख दिए भैया ऐसे जियो आप लोग. So I think that's somewhere, the next round of development into this regulatory thing has to come in, and then serious effort needs to be made to actually take into account every aspect of it, understand the whole life cycle of that particular thing that we are talking about, and stop thinking of cryptocurrency as in currency only. Because I think the entire problem started from its nomenclature, which was again very loosely put. I mean, cryptocurrencies are not really currencies. Bitcoin is a payment system. Ethereum is a smart contract platform. करेंसी कहाँ आता है यहाँ पर? ये सब तो कोई भी करेंसी नहीं है, right? I mean, Bitcoin is a currency within its digital ecosystem only, as in, mode of exchange or unit of account or whatsoever. The way you define a currency, it is operable only within its ecosystem. Uske bahar, it is not really a currency. So first get that thought, start treating it as a different asset class. Different projects have got different utilities, different use. Stable coins are entirely different. CBDCs are entirely different. Your utility tokens are different. Your assets are different. Your NFTs are different. Don't mix up everything. I mean, it's not really one single consolidated body. Cryptocurrency ये सुनने में लगता है कि एक ही चीज है. 19,000 अलग-अलग चीज है. 19,000 different things are there. Yes, you can bunch them under 20 categories, maybe 40 categories. Now you make those 40 different laws. कि अगर इसको ऐसे लेते. See, the other countries, they have taken it very simply. What US did, they said that okay, I consider it as a commodity. और फिर commodity के सारा laws उस पे लगेगा. Australia ने उसको क्या किया? बोला कि ठीक है, it's a mode of payment. Now तुम्हारा सारा अकाउंटिंग ऑस्ट्रेलियन डॉलर में ही होगा. तुम अगर क्रिप्टो करेंसी से भी पे कर रहे हो, उस दिन का क्रिप्टो करेंसी का जो भी यूनिट हुआ, you value it in Australian dollar and you put it into your statement of accounts, and accordingly all the business rules, laws, everything पूरा उधर ही खत्म कर दिया. जापान ने भी they did the same thing. They just said it's a method of payment. It's an accepted method of payment. Another alternate method of payment. You can pay in dollars, you can pay in yen, you can pay in bitcoins. You value it as per that day's valuation. Put it into your accounts, pay your taxes like the laws of the land, and get along with it. We khali trading pay 30% tax, 1% TDS participating mein. When I first heard it, and I was also in the mode of long term, short term. Now I am a person who used to trade bitcoins earlier. जब से Bitcoin को समझाओ trading बंद कर दो, because trading involves buying and selling both. जब से Bitcoin का tokenomics समझ में आया है, I have stopped selling. So essentially saying that I have stopped trading. What I thought is that ये तो अच्छा हुआ. आपका entry barrier is 1%, that is your TDS, and your exit barrier is 30%. So you are making it promotional for the people to participate into the crypto world, which is good in a way. You are making them on board into the crypto world, और उसके बाद बोल रहे हो कि तुम
don't exit.
छोड़ के मत जाओ.
Do not exit. Yeah.
मैं बाद में पूरा इकोसिस्टम डेवलप करता हूँ आपके लिए. I was very enthusiastic about that.
We
So
understand.
that's my 2 bit about the whole thing.
True. Anybody else would like to add to this or ask anything, any clarities? Cool.
I think Ajoy just briefly touched upon it, and that's a very interesting point. So in the budget, it was mentioned that cost of acquisition would be allowed as deduction. But what for miners, like you were mentioning, they have very high cost of operations, setting up their infrastructure, electricity costs. If I say roughly, it would be 95% of the total value of the currency they mine goes into the mining. But that was also recently just put up as a clarification. Again, it may not be a full-fledged confirmation so far, but it was mentioned by one of the state finance ministers that that mining costs would not be allowed as a deduction, because that would be considered as a capital expenditure, which can have a depreciation later on, but then the setup of that would not be allowed. So that's also one very additional big burden for the miners, because it's then the entire value that they have mined on which they have to pay 30%. And it's not just the gain, it's the entire value that they have received. So that additionally would also add to a lot of burden for the miners, and probably discourage a lot of ones to continue their operations if that's the case.
Correct.
Okay.
I think
So,
Shashank has a question. He's raising his hand.
yeah, I think so. And Shashank, you'll have to put it down on the chat box. I have a question from Anil Patil. I will take it up at the end of the session. Yeah, first we'll kind of finish our sessions and then we'll take that up. Shashank, I cannot let you unmute. You can type it on the chat section. If there is any question that you have, you can, kind of type it out. Okay, so moving on to the third question. This question is specifically, I would, want Mr. Yash to kind of take this up. The crypto volume dropped by 40% in just 4 days after the introduction of 30% tax. What was the market situation at that time? What were people thinking? What were the traders thinking? So this is directed to you, sir, because you are from the trader fraternity and you can throw a better light. What was the hangama that happened? वहाँ पे क्या हंगामे हुए? क्या हुआ? Traders का क्या feeling था?
Yes. So basically, जब 31st of March, जब users और investors वो लोग square off कर रहे थे अपनी पोजीशन उस टाइम पे, मतलब पैनिक सेलिंग हुआ था 31st March, around 5 to 6 PM. तो उस टाइम पे जो भी प्रॉफिट बुक करके जो भी यूजर्स निकले हैं उस टाइम पे इवन 31st of March में USDT सेल हो रहा था 72 रुपीज में, सो चीपर देन US डॉलर. सो 77 का जो भी प्राइस था US डॉलर का जो प्राइस है वो 72 रुपीज में, मतलब वो पूरा पैनिक सेलिंग था उस टाइम पे. सो उस टाइम पे 31st March से ही वॉल्यूम ऑलमोस्ट 50% गिरा हुआ था उसके अंदर.
Okay. So that was, and what was, मतलब market में क्या हो रहा था? What were people speculating? क्या बोल रहे थे? What was their views? I mean,
actually 1st of April से जो टैक्स आने वाला था, so basically सभी लोगों को ऐसा ही था कि 1st of April से अब नया हमारा फाइनेंशियल ईयर होगा, तो उसके अंदर हम लोग फिर से इन्वेस्ट करके उसके अंदर डिपॉजिट करेंगे. बट एक्चुअली ऐसा एक 1 वीक गुजर गया पर ऐसा कुछ हुआ नहीं. बेसिकली डे बाय डे वॉल्यूम डिक्रीज ही होता गया. Yes.
तो अब क्या सिचुएशन है मार्केट में? इज हाउ इज द ट्रेडिंग हैपनिंग? अगर हम अप्रैल के पहले देखेंगे और अब देखेंगे तो व्हाट्स द सिचुएशन लाइक? हाउ मेनी पीपल हैव काइंड ऑफ मूव्ड आउट ऑफ द ट्रेडिंग और हाउ मेनी पीपल हैव बिकम लाइक लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टर्स? व्हाट्स द सिचुएशन लाइक?
तो बेसिकली अभी जो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स इसके अंदर अभी ऑलरेडी इन है, बट जो इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स है, जो बिग प्लेयर्स है, जो ओटीसी ट्रेड्स करते हैं, तो बेसिकली वो लोग इसके अंदर से ज्यादा एग्जिट हो चुके हैं और उसके वजह से वॉल्यूम भी बहुत कम हो चुका है. और जो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स जो है वो बेसिकली अभी मार्केट में जो भी एग्जिस्ट कर रहे हैं तो रिटेल इन्वेस्टर्स ज्यादा है कंपेयर टू इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर्स. और दूसरी चीज ये है कि अभी जो ऑर्डर बुक की साइज है, जो एक्सचेंजेस के अंदर जो ऑर्डर बुक की साइज दिख रही है, सो वो भी बेसिकली बहुत कम हो गई है. जैसे पहले WZirX के अंदर USDT के ऑर्डर बुक्स हम लोग देख सकते थे कि अराउंड $1 लाख और वो मतलब ज्यादा हाई वॉल्यूम ट्रेड होते थे उस टाइम पे. बट अभी एक्चुअली वो बहुत डिक्रीज हो चुका है और उसके वजह से बाइंग और सेलिंग की जो स्प्रेड आ गया है उसके अंदर, कि बाइंग का रेट और सेलिंग के रेट के अंदर अभी 10 बेसिस पॉइंट और 20 बेसिस पॉइंट का डिफरेंस आ गया है. कि यूजर को अभी परचेज करना हो तो वो 81.70 पे परचेज करेगा और जो सेल करना हो उसको तो वो 81.50 में सेल करेगा. तो बेसिकली 20 बेसिस पॉइंट वो प्राइस का डिफरेंस आ गया है उसके अंदर बाइंग और सेलिंग में भी.
Sure. Does anybody want to add to this? Saurabh ji or Varun ji, Keshav, any viewpoint?
Yes, just a couple of points there. I think Yash is absolutely right in the sense that the budget actually came on 1st of February 2022. And the implementation of these new provisions were from 1st of April 2022. So people had 2 months cycle or 2 months sort of gestation period or available period. So what we realized was primarily there were sort of 3 categories of people. People who were sort of retail traders, youngsters who were lured into this industry, 20-year-old investing his pocket money into this industry. They were the ones who got scared by this newer taxation, given the fact that if you are from 1st of April, even if you are not under the tax slab, you still want to go forward and file your taxes at 30%, which means that even a 17-year-old, a person who does not, maybe a person who's never had any PAN card in his life, a person who's earning less than 5 lakh rupees, not liable for income tax or any other income, even he was now under the tax net, which means that there was a massive increase in the tax net to the government. So these kind of youngsters, they got scared and then they stopped trading. That's one category of people. The second category were people who were sort of either building some products or trying to raise some funds and try to provide some utility to the startup or the blockchain ecosystem. Now, those people got slightly panicked. Why? Because all of a sudden, the cost of, let's say, the salaries could not be set off against the gains that they were making. So if you receive your fees in USDT and you are not able to set it off against the salary of your team, hence the entire cost in the tax budget went up. So these are the second category. And the third were the institutional investors who are now looking at India as a big sort of developer hub, investing. Coinbase was interested, Kraken was planning to come to India, Huobi was planning to come to India. All these people, Coinbase actually also came later on with Builders Tribe. However, they were later on then almost kicked out of the country. So from that perspective, we felt that this notion that was created that India has massive, cheap talent, world-class talent available for tech developers in Solidity space and other things, those notions sort of people, especially the institutional investors, try to play a wait and watch game. They said, okay, let's wait how the government takes a stance and then go forward. I still feel that the current law is not the settled law. I still feel that this is only work in progress. The government also knows that this is work in progress. The government is very clear that currently even they need more time to think about it. However, just I would say 5 to 10 days before, people were not even sure whether these clauses, these provisions will be there in the annual budget or not. It was a surprise element that came, and thereby the government actually came up with this thing. And post that, the government just wanted to sort of reduce and control the volumes, which it has successfully done. However, we have also seen as a result of these almost, I would say, draconian provisions, we have seen lots of brain drain happening and lots of good tech developers shifting their base to Dubai, because coincidentally, Dubai has now sort of attracted lots of global talent. So it is a big thing. It is not just one provision in the budget. It is not just 1 year that we are looking forward to. This is a new industry which is involved in. We are expecting the government to be more proactive. However, post that 1st February, now it has, now as part of that provision, it is implementing the 1% TDS from 1st of July. But again, the income tax department, the GST department, the Reserve Bank of India, they are tight-lipped about what is their notion. Do they think that they are coming up with, let's say, any notification, setting up any specialized committees to understand, upgrade FEMA laws, upgrade any other laws? So that is where the government is missing a bit.
Sure.
But you know what, my 2 bit about this whole thing is, yes, we are in a tight spot at this point of time, and trust me, I mean, everyone over here who has been in the crypto since like 2010, 12, 15, 17, सभी लोग वो tight spot के आदी हो चुके हैं. We are all habituated to those tight spot till this point of time, and we're still comfortable. It's not really, pinching our skin kind of a thing, and things like that. We are patient and things like that. But if you take the world perspective on this and consider, you will find that investment is like water. ठीक है ना, थोड़ा पानी जैसा होता है, वो बहता रहता है. उसके सामने अगर कोई पत्थर वत्थर आ जाता है, it changes course, it finds a good destination, but it keeps on flowing, and this is what will happen. I mean, I have been going to these colleges, interacting with the students, trying to get blockchain into mainstream. Two of my favorite questions to all of them were, how many of you know about cryptocurrencies? 200 के क्राउड में 80 हाथ तो ऊपर जाते थे. फिर मैं पूछता था कितनों को ब्लॉकचेन पता है, तो 60 नीचे आ जाते थे हाथ, 20 खड़े रहते थे. They know more about cryptocurrencies than they know about blockchain. And Varun is right. It was a significant part of the investment from India, because traders, see, India has got two very attractive things, which is, which the world is looking for. One is talent, and second is trading potential. India has proven कि अगर उसको चांस मिले ना तो वो वर्ल्ड ट्रेड में MCX जैसा एक एक्सचेंज खड़ा कर सकता है. Correct? MCX has been a very success story only because it has been supported by the traders of India. And Indian traders are known world over. In fact, foreign exchanges, they came over to, register Indian traders in their commodities exchanges and other things, just because they wanted the trading volumes from India to come and support them. And today, if any of these exchanges like Coinbase, या Kraken or Huobi, उन लोग को अगर बोला जाए ना कि आओ तुम लोग के लिए मैं दरवाजा खोल के देता हूँ, they will be jump starting into India. एक पैर उठा के खड़े हैं सभी लोग इंडिया में पार्टिसिपेट करके और इंडिया का ट्रेडिंग कम्युनिटी को इन्वॉल्व करने के लिए. कॉइनबेस का यहाँ पर आने का जरूरत ही, they have put their production hub over here. Not only that, many enterprise developing company, enterprise application developing companies, they are looking at India as an developer destination kind of a thing. वो लोग अपना development base यहाँ पर बना रहे हैं. Okay, so these are two attractive points over here. But now, if you as a government do not understand that this is a huge revenue potential because you're bringing business in, and if you try to choke these 2 points over here and you drive these investments away, अब तो एक तो FDI हो रहा है आपका यहाँ पर, ठीक है, बाहर के एक्सचेंज सब आ रहे हैं यहाँ पर ट्रेडिंग वॉल्यूम्स पिकअप करने के लिए, बाहर से इन्वेस्टमेंट्स आ रहे हैं यहाँ पर डेवलपमेंट बेस बनाने के लिए. अगर आप ये सारे चीज को इकट्ठे चोक आउट कर देना चाहते हो तो you're becoming penny wise, which is like trading 30% of the crypto taxes and being pound foolish, that you are actually not participating in the most prolific and disruptive industry which the world is looking over to, which is the Web3 development and Metaverse world. So somewhere we need to, put things into perspective कि हम लोग क्या चाहते हैं यहाँ से. हम लोग अगर पैसा भी बनाना चाहते हैं as government का revenue भी, what is the right approach that also needs to be considered.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah, one thing I would like to say, Mr. Varun ने एक चीज बहुत अच्छी बोली थी, that it is a work in progress. After 1st of February, we saw finance secretary interview, even finance minister interview. They both clearly mentioned, okay, abhi we need global framework again. We don't have anything against cryptocurrencies. We don't know whether we want it in asset class or cryptocurrency, whatever it is. But the thing is, the main issue we have is tracking that. So we need a global framework, otherwise it can be misused. So this work in progress is the main thing, that they are saying that we are still looking into other countries, how means we take around 20-30 countries and we just define a global framework for the currencies. Till then we are just taxing the people on which they are earning.
तो temporarily तुम सबको भगा के रख दियो. People are moving over to Dubai now.
So countries तो चलती रहेगी अलग-अलग, and Dubai तो obviously Dubai there are no taxes even on your income.
Yeah, absolutely. People are making permanent shift over there. I mean, look at what CoinDCX, look at Nischal Shetty.
वहाँ पेट्रोल का रेट पानी के जितना है, तो क्या हाल
Look, sir is also planning to move to Dubai soon.
No, what interestingly, Dubai is coming up with the taxation next year, up to 9% taxation.
Yes.
Okay. But the point is that they are providing an ecosystem. And,
yes.
The BMCC, even the Abu Dhabi ADGM is coming up with a regulatory framework. They are providing a license.
Varun, I mean, this is something which we were discussing the other day in our office also. कि भाई अगर आप the whole perspective of government, ठीक है, गवर्नमेंट का पूरा पर्सपेक्टिव देखो कि गवर्नमेंट टैक्स लेती है, क्यों लेती है, कैसे लेती है, things like that. The whole economics works in this way, and this is I'm going to the fundamentals of taxation and governance and things like that. You provide some certain services to a particular ecosystem to encourage it. उसके बाद उसमें से जो बेनिफिट्स आता है फिर आप अपना शेयर लो एज एन टैक्स. तो भैया आज तक आप लोगों ने क्रिप्टो करेंसी के लिए किया क्या है इंडिया में कि आप पहले ही टैक्स झोली फैला के बैठ गए, पहले कुछ करो तो सही. did load the tax.
Yeah,
Keshav, if I am
it's
wrong.
slightly different. I think in India, everything is taxable unless it is exempted by the government. So from that perspective, I think the government is right. But I think it is doing what I would say one thing right and one thing massively incorrect. It is looking at taxing. So people thought, oh, if it's taxing, then it is legitimizing that ecosystem.
Right.
And if you look at it from other perspective, it is saying that, okay, even illegitimate incomes are taxable. So we are not legitimizing, we are still waiting for the legal framework. I think when we look at countries like, let's say, Bermuda, small country, let's say countries like Seychelles, they are coming up with taxation guidelines first, implementing a policy. The government is coming up with a regulatory framework, coming up with a licensing regime, registration regime, KYC policies, anti-money laundering policies, and then implementing that, okay, now these are the people who are interested in this industry. Let's put a taxation regime on top of it. India actually did the lopsided thing. They actually came with the taxation thing first, and they have not come up with any licenses. And the other departments not saying anything, I think that adds to the confusion that the general users have. And that is what has happened in India. But I still feel it's still early days. I still feel that in the long run, Indian government would surely be smart enough to not miss out on this opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely. They will capitalize it, not a problem. So coming up next, I would, this question I would want to, want Ajoy and Keshav ji to, kind of take it up. The fourth question, will crypto trading on decentralized exchange help you avoid the 30% tax? This is a very jugadu question, and that's the reason why I'm asking Ajoy to take it up first.
No, I don't think so. See, basically, डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड इकोसिस्टम और सेंट्रलाइज्ड सिस्टम में आपको अलग अलग तरीके से लेजर रखना छोड़ करके और कोई बेसिक डिफरेंस है नहीं. आप देखो, I mean, you are moving in through an wallet system in a decentralized exchange. You are moving in through an registration process, KYC process through an centralized exchange and moving to an सेंट्रलाइज एक्सचेंज. आपका बाई सेल ट्रेड का जो प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस है वो बाई सेल ट्रेड का प्रॉफिट एंड लॉस दोनों जगह पे होगा. तो देयर इज नॉट मच ऑफ एन डिफरेंस. तो यहाँ पर डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड और सेंट्रलाइज्ड एक्सचेंज में आई डोंट परसीव मच ऑफ एन डिफरेंस. एनीवेज, इफ यू वांट टू काइंड ऑफ मास्क समथिंग और इफ यू थिंक that blockchain is anonymous और उसमें चोरी करना आसान है, things like that, please forget about all those things. It is a public ledger which is पूरा डेटा सबके पास अवेलेबल है. तो आप कभी भी ट्रैक हो सकते हैं, आपके सारे ट्रांजैक्शंस ट्रैक हो सकते हैं, चाहे वो डिसेंट्रलाइज्ड वे में हो या सेंट्रलाइज्ड वे में हो. तो देखो, सेव टैक्सेस क्या है? सेट ऑफ नहीं कर सकते हो, फिर क्या सेव करोगे? अगर प्रॉफिट किया तो टैक्स भरेगा, और प्रॉफिट में करेगा तो फिर मेरे को टैक्स भरने में प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. ठीक है. सो गोइंग बाय द लॉज ऑफ द लैंड, whether they are draconian or whatsoever, beneficial whatsoever, if the law of the land is saying that ये 30% tax लगेगा, तो आप किसी भी modality में करो वो लगेगा. So that is not an escape.
Yeah, I think that's very valid. The law does not distinguish between centralized or decentralized exchanges. I think why people are bringing this up more often is because it's not easy. They feel that it's not easy to trace the transactions, though everything can be tracked, like Mr. Ajoy was mentioning. It's just that every time a law comes, people try to find loopholes, exploit it as much as possible. So that's the only reason why this question is coming up, that no, I'll try to decentralize exchanges, I'll do P2P, I'll do wallet to wallet transfers, and that may not come within the purview of the TDS or the taxation, but that's not the case. Slowly and slowly, government will also have some systems in place to identify those transactions and catch those people who are trying to avoid this and make use of the loopholes.
ये थोड़ा क्वेश्चन थोड़ा डेस्परेट है ना.
सौरभ जी, आपका म्यूट कर लेंगे क्या थोड़ा, बिकॉज आई थिंक बैक पीछे थोड़ा बहुत ज्यादा डिस्टर्बेंस है. Only when you're talking, maybe you can unmute. Yeah. Sorry, Ajoy, you were saying something.
I was adding to Keshav's point that this question itself is a little bit desperate कि और कहाँ से कैसे बच सकते हैं types.
Exactly. So that's why I said it's a very jugadu question, because see, generally most people, everybody is worried about the 30% tax. Then फिर GST आ रहा है नहीं आ रहा है, that's again a speculation. फिर 1% और है, तो lot of people are clueless of what's going to happen.
See, again, I mean, to the people who want to think of Bitcoin as an investment for whatsoever reasons, my two bit is don't think about Bitcoin as an, I mean, just as a capital asset, कि fiat से उसको convert कर लिया और वापस कुछ profit हो गया तो वापस fiat में convert करके now I'm trying to see Bitcoin is a programmed monetary policy. If you have to go to the right sense of Bitcoin. In fact, I totally view Bitcoin to be priced against rupee or to be priced against dollar. I think it is a bad comparison. Correct me if I'm wrong. If you're saying, I mean, Bitcoin is Bitcoin. Bitcoin valued against rupee in rupee terms or dollar terms means आप Apple को oranges के साथ compare कर रहे हो. Bitcoin is a finite coded monetary policy of finite supply जिसका very well programmed emission rate है, सब कुछ calculated program known है, and it's a payment system. और दूसरे तरफ आपका fiat है जिसका मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी चेंज होता रहता है, वो वॉलेटाइल मॉनेटरी पॉलिसी है. जब इन्फ्लेशन बढ़ता है तो इंटरेस्ट रेट बढ़ा देते हो आप, जब इन्फ्लेशन घटता है तो इंटरेस्ट रेट घटा देते हो आप, एंड दैट इज लाइक कंट्रोल्ड बाय a set of people, and this is like a program which is controlling its emission rate, difficulty level and whatsoever. So there are two different things, two different nature altogether. तो जो बिटकॉइन मैक्सिमलिस्ट्स हैं, जो सोचते हैं कि बिटकॉइन विल बी द करेंसी ऑफ द फ्यूचर और व्हाटसोएवर, ठीक है, उनके लिए भी और किसी और के लिए भी बिटकॉइन को डॉलर के हिसाब से कंपेयर करना या रुपी के हिसाब से कंपेयर करना मेरे ख्याल से इलॉजिकल है. एंड देन the question of 30% tax does not even arise. If you are into Bitcoin, you are into Bitcoin. If you are into Ethereum, you are into Ethereum. आपके पास मेटामास्क वॉलेट है, आज आप कोई भी ERC20 टोकन को लेकर के वेरियस यूटिलिटीज को परचेज कर सकते हो. You can be there. You can be participating into an crypto ecosystem supported by crypto payments and crypto digital assets. आपको क्यों फियाट के साथ ये ऑन रैम्प ऑफ रैम्प कर करके बीच में टैक्स घुसा करके, again, it's a different question altogether, but then that question always remains and nobody is really asking that question. Everybody is kind of thinking कि मैं बिटकॉइन आज खरीदता हूं तो उसको वापस रुपी में कन्वर्ट करके then I'll enjoy the larger amount of rupee which I will get back to. If you're getting back larger amount of rupee, give the government 30%. They are also poor, running a deficit budget. They will also be happy.
Absolutely, I agree to it. Anybody would like to add to this?
Just one point here, what Ajoy mentioned. So when you look at blockchain per se and Bitcoin per se, I think Bitcoin maximalists say one very amazing thing. They say that this is not an incremental change to the current financial system of the world. This is a radical shift. And Ajoy is absolutely right that today people are looking at sort of pairing BTC/INR, BTC/USD. In times to come, people will directly buy, let's say, like in Japan, you can buy a Starbucks coffee from Bitcoin. The same thing can be done now in El Salvador as well.
Yeah.
Which means that going forward, you will stop having this comparison that, oh, the Bitcoin prices fell by X percentage or Y percentage, and the pairing is now disrupted. There's a 30% fall and a 40% fall. People will simply enter the system and they will not exit. It means that they will simply stay within that system. The day that thing happens, that is the day when we will say that Bitcoin is actually a currency within that ecosystem. Currently, it is not a currency. It is a crypto asset. The Indian government has also said, the UK government is also calling it a digital asset or a crypto asset only. Singaporean government also calls it an asset only. So currently, we are looking at a new asset class evolving, and thereby this new asset class, unless and until it becomes the means of payment, the regular means of payment, only then it should ideally attract 18% GST. But I think we try to implement taxation first and regulatory frameworks.
My investment tip, Varun, would be to buy and hold till that point of time comes. That is eventually coming. And that's we right. Have, like Varun, I mean, with you, Keshav and Yash, I really love to, Dubai में नहीं जाएंगे हम लोग, ठीक है, चलो काजीरंगा चलते हैं, because we'll find rhinos out there, we become thick-skinned, ठीक है, ये सब सहने का आदत पड़ चुका है, काजीरंगा चलते हैं, वहां पर बेस सेटअप करते हैं और मजे करते हैं, जब तक क्रिप्टो इकोसिस्टम पेमेंट्स लेकर के आ जाएगा, we will come back.
So very interestingly, you can actually go to Sikkim. In a research that was done by my team in 2017-18, we wrote a letter to Reserve Bank of India And we asked whether the current policies of the Indian government, especially the Reserve Bank of India, they apply to Sikkim or not. Sikkim was not part of India at the time of the time of independence. It was added as a kingdom nation in the early 1970s, and thereby the current sort of banking systems and the laws, the payment and settlements technically do not apply to Sikkim. They run their own methodologies. So we did try to sort of feature that thing. We should try to research whether
we did a similar activity at that point of time. Try to open up the back of Sikkim and things like that.
Government has extended its controls over Sikkim as well. So it is interesting. I think what is good is that, again, it's work in progress. We still feel that I think you've got to play the waiting game, be patient to what is going on. What is very good is that the global institutional investors still believe that the Indian tech developers have the competence to raise funds. So these guys are surely raising funds, perhaps not in India. Now they're setting up bases in Dubai, in Wyoming, in Singapore, in Seychelles, in many other, Portugal, Netherlands, Finland, you name it, and Australia for that matter. Australia came up with brilliant guidelines in December 2021. So from that perspective, we look, lots of these countries and valuations, all these things are now going to these foreign nations, but they're still bringing FDI back to India. However, we don't want to be just like in the internet boom, we became the call center or the backend office of the world. We don't want to be that in the blockchain ecosystem. I think that is the opportunity today. If we want to become the backend of tech development, or maybe a Solidity writer here in India who opens up his company in Wyoming or Australia or Singapore, Hong Kong, anywhere, and then they raise valuations there, have the team there, intellectual properties there, and India just providing backend tech development. I think this is the time for India to radically change that notion, and the time is right. It's just that the government needs some sort of we the people need some support from the government to make things happen.
True, very true. So going on, I think there are a lot of questions pouring in as well. So I think we should start going to the next question. So our next question is to all the panelists and their viewpoints on this, I would appreciate. What could be the implications of the crypto tax in a global economy?
Okay, if I may take that thing up.
You mean Indian crypto tax in the global economy? That's what we have been discussing so far. So investments are drying up in Indian.
Exactly.
Indian talent is flowing out. The world is benefiting from it. We are moving to Kaziranga.
To this, I have a question. I would want to also take the viewers' questions parallelly, because few of the questions are also related to the questions that we are discussing. So I have one question which has come to me from Abhi. So he is wanting to know, what about international exchanges who are coming to India? Do people still need to pay 30% tax and 1% TDS? And if they have to pay, why? Because they are not registered in India. So I think Keshav...
The only way you can avoid this 30% tax for now is to go to El Salvador, take a citizenship, start a trading account out there. If you are an Indian, hold an Indian passport, may Coinbase आकर के 7 दिन में बंद हो गया ना वापस से, तो यूपीआई चालू करके भी बेचारा बंद करके kind of shut down. Even they are not coming. They are not interested. जो लोग हैं अभी काम कर रहे हैं, उन लोग के साथ भी आप अगर काम करते हो, तो you have to pay this 30% tax. There is no way out. Keshav, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, definitely. This is very interesting. In fact, I have been in frequent conversations with a lot of exchanges, and a lot of international exchanges have pulled out or stopped their operations or have postponed it. The ones who were coming in Q2, Q3, they are not just reevaluating whether this would be the right jurisdiction, whether they will be able to comply with all the laws and regulations, and that's why it has pushed their operations also. I believe that in case they want to establish, then definitely they'll have to comply. They'll also have to have in place the systems to deduct the TDS, to ensure that all the reports which are being generated around taxes also are being done. So it's just a matter of time, is what I believe. Even if the international exchanges come, people trade through that, they would also have to follow the laws of the jurisdiction where they are setting up their operations.
Exactly. And Ajoy, I think this question is specifically to you. How can international exchange do business in India? What should be their strategy? Abhi is wanting to know.
So basically, at this point of time, what an international business partner who wants to look at India specifically in a long-term view, they should be doing is they should be doing some amount of groundwork. So see, the thing is, this draconian law is not going to be there forever. So this is the time, right time to basically invest some patience, some time to build capacity around, educate people, because crypto awareness is also, see, today, when the first question which comes when they hear that I'm from the crypto world, the first question crypto comes to cryptocurrencies, not cryptology or cryptography or any other thing, but the basis of crypto word is cryptology. So there is a significant amount of awareness that needs to go into saying that the technology which is powering these asset classes is more important, more disruptive, and more game changing than the asset class itself. And we do provide you with a platform. And one of the solutions which people from the international market should come in with is an on-ramp solution, because that is one of the biggest limitation factors today. Not the 30% tax. 30% tax is there, which is temporary in nature. It could be changed. But what the market requires today is an on-ramp solution, which is not there. How do a normal investor comes and participates into the crypto world? Do you have a solution for that? Very rarely people have a solution for that. I mean, if I have to go to through the USDT process, the USDT is so costly for me in India. Why should it be so costly? Why couldn't it be offered at par to the USD? It's a stable coin, right? Or why isn't there an INR tether? So these are some of the questions which the international participants could think about. Come, participate, build their base through education, through awareness. Trust me, trading volumes, trading is such a funny game that, you do your regular work, but if you understand something, it's your second nature to participate and trade. That's the India for you. That's Indian traders for you. वो ना बैंक वाला ऑफिस में बैठ करके एनएससी में ट्रेड करता रहता है दिन भर, मैंने खुद देखा हुआ है भाई. बैंकिंग स्टॉक्स खरीदता बेचता रहता है, and he keeps on doing his banking job. The office goers, normal office goers, they keep on trading commodities, they keep on trading diamonds and gold, because it is the second nature of Indians to speculate. We are huge speculators. So that market is always there. But today, that investor needs to understand Bitcoin, needs to understand what Ethereum is, why should I buy, sell Ethereum, or for that matter, Shiba Inu, to participate. So come and build that ecosystem. Come with an on-ramp solution. Come with an motive to educate people, to build a community rather than, just provide a service and do an aggressive marketing.
Right. Now, I think there is one more.
I think you should ask everyone's opinion about this.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's exactly what I was about to say. So is someone else wanting to add on to this?
Yes, just adding on to what Ajoy said. I'm more positive on this. So let's discuss. We generally sort of tend to focus on the negatives. So one of the positive things is that generally when you look at, let's say, an Indian company and on the same industry, let's say when you talk about, let's say, electronic vehicles, for example. So Tesla was sort of stopped from coming to India unless they put up a manufacturing plant in India. So that was a condition that was put to Tesla. Similarly, when you look at this industry, the very good positive point here is that any international exchange, they don't need to do any special thing to now work in India, which means that if you're an Indian exchange, the list of compliances is identical to any foreign exchange who come and register their company in India, which means that any foreign exchange having bigger cash chest would be able to compete, perhaps even beat any Indian exchange. So from that perspective, the opportunity is there. So look at any other exchange, say for example, like Kraken, for example, is expected to, just like Coinbase is expected to list itself in New York Stock Exchange in a couple of years from now. But India or Southeast Asian market, their number of audience is very, very less. If they have the legal framework, if they have the technological capabilities, they can simply implement that solution here in India. They already have those capabilities. They have an existing user base which is available to them in India. Currently, there are no licenses for any foreign company to set up a cryptocurrency exchange in India. It is just the March 4th, 2020 Supreme Court judgment and a few other sort of the federal budget of this year, which needs to be compliant. So if you look at it from that perspective, there is no add-on or newer things, no licensing, no red tapeism here. This is the biggest opportunity right now. And maybe in times to come, maybe 1 year down the line, India, just like Singapore, might come up with a regulatory or a license framework. And then that license cost. Today, even a small, maybe you don't talk about bigger nation, bigger cryptocurrency exchanges. You can look at even a small startup who maybe setting itself up in Indonesia or Jakarta or some other place. They can also have users here in India at no license cost. The cost of setting up is equivalent to cost of setting up a very simple company is 10,000-20,000 rupees only. So from that perspective, if you have, so primarily all these cryptocurrency exchanges, what are they doing? Self-governing regulatory frameworks. You implement those self-regulatory global frameworks here in India. That's it. So without the license, this is one great industry you can actually enter into with, given the financial ecosystem in India, the UPI payment ecosystem is one of the most mature financial ecosystems in the country. You can actually go forward and use that thing and implement their solutions. So the opportunity is surely there.
Thank you. Thank you. I think there is one more question, which is coming from Abhi. Crypto taxes are charged in a whole transaction and when it gets completed. So why tax is charged while mining?
So there itself, it's on the basis of realization. At the time of mining, you get the cryptocurrency with you. Otherwise, what we see on the exchange is it's on the trading. Once you buy and then you sell, it's then when the loop gets completed, and that's the point which triggers the taxation. In mining, it's not that you have to again sell it. The whole service that has occurred when you're mining the transaction, you have spent resources, you have got the cryptocurrency, completes the loop. Which is why in a mining transaction also you would have to pay the differential that is charged.
Okay. Thank
So
you.
whenever you are transferring it out of your wallet, that means at that point of time, the loop gets confirmed, completed, and then your acquisition cost will be considered to be zero because you're mining. You have not bought it at any other price. And then you'll have to pay that tax on total $30,000, whatever the price of at which you are transferring it out. Correct, Keshav?
Yeah, so there would be two things over here. Again, at the time of purchase also, or at the time of having the currency in your wallet, that can also be one trigger point. And again, at the time of selling. So again, if the cost of acquisition is not being allowed to be offset, then I believe that no, we should have some differential which should be put to tax. Otherwise, it would be a regular purchase sale transaction where the tax is only on the trading basis.
Okay, so a wallet to wallet transfer is considered to be selling out here, right?
Wallet to wallet should also be considered as selling. Otherwise, it would just
Correct.
promote transactions between people without having any tax implication.
Got it.
As soon as it gets out of your identity, your wallet should be considered a sale transaction.
Thank you. The next question I would like Saurabh to address. Can losses incurred from one virtual digital currency be set off against income from another digital currency?
I think Ajoy and Varun has explained this question. We have already discussed it twice or thrice.
And this question I
but
have
the
kind of
thing
got
is,
it twice, thrice in the group also. There are
yeah,
people
the
who are
thing
typing
is,
in the group.
one thing I would like to add. There was just some days back, there was a case of Terra Luna. There was a crash in that crypto coin. So the thing is, after that, to compensate the investors, they put some airdrop. So that was Luna 2.0. Now that 2.0, that airdrop is taxable. So suppose one investor, they have got 100 rupees loss in a Luna, and they got Luna 0.0 for 30 rupees, that will be taxable, and they'll be paying 9 rupees on the tax on the 2.0. So this is how taxation will be. So they cannot offset it with the airdrop itself.
Anything to add to this? Anybody?
So the short answer to the question is that set-offs are not allowed. The long answer is that, very interestingly, they are not allowed. The reason why I say very interestingly, because there was no such notion when the annual budget on February 1st, 2022 was mentioned.
Right.
So people thought that, okay, a crypto gain can be set off against a crypto loss. However, there was a question hour after the annual budget. And in that question hour in the Lok Sabha, there was this discussion whether the setup will be allowed or not. In that discussion, so technically this question is not debated. It is just an answer given to the question hour session, wherein they stated that set-offs are not allowed. Now, this is again a departure from what is going on around the world. In other nations like Singapore, like Australia, based on Austrac's recommendation which was by a panel which was set up by the parliament itself in Australia, they suggested that set-off and carry forward of losses should be allowed. So India, from that perspective, is trying to sort of look east and west, but they are not trying to sort of implement all the good things. So I think that is where we feel that this is a departure from what is happening around the world. Let's say Portugal, Australia, Singapore, Wyoming, El Salvador, of course, being on the other side, calling it as a means of payment. So from that perspective, short answer, no, it's the set-offs are not allowed. You got to pay taxes. So people generally say the profits, well, if you incur profits, you got to pay taxes. If you incur losses, that are your losses. So currently that is what is going on. But I think in the long run, of course, there should be an update and an amendment in this law as well.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Now I would like Yashji to just take up this thing. What are the common challenges that a crypto taxpayer faces? Yashji, आपके हिसाब से, what are the common challenges that you feel that the trader fraternity, the traders are facing? And so you're in mute.
So basically जो buying और selling के rate का difference मैंने बताया कि जो buying selling का spread आ रहा है अभी. So अभी recently न्यूज में आया था कि इन्वेस्टर मतलब इसमें फॉरेन एक्सचेंजेस के अंदर जो भी इंडियन इन्वेस्टर फॉरेन एक्सचेंजेस के अंदर परचेस करेंगे तो उसके ऊपर 18% जीएसटी लगाएंगे, रिवर्स चार्ज लगेगा. सो बेसिकली अभी कोई भी इन्वेस्टर इंडिया में ट्रेड करना चाहता है, इंडिया में लिक्विडिटी की क्रंच है अभी. सो बेसिकली यहाँ पे बाइंग और सेलिंग के प्राइसेस के बाइंग और सेलिंग के रेट्स में डिफरेंस बहुत ज्यादा है. तो बेसिकली मुझे बाहर से बाइनेंस पे से ट्रेड करना हो, तो बाइनेंस पे से मुझे ट्रेड करना हो तो मैं बाइनेंस में मेरे फंड बाइनेंस पे मूव करूंगा तो मुझे 18% जीएसटी पे करना होगा फॉरेन एक्सचेंज में रिवर्स चार्ज के मतलब इम्प्लीमेंट होगा उसकी वजह से. सो जो फीस होगी उसके ऊपर 18% जीएसटी लगेगा उसके ऊपर. और दूसरी चीज है कि जो अभी रिसेंटली बैंकिंग के एंड से आईएनआर डिपॉजिट अभी कई एक्सचेंजेस के अंदर आईएनआर डिपॉजिट बंद कर दिया है. सो अभी आईएनआर डिपॉजिट मेजर वजीर एक्ट के अंदर अभी चालू नहीं है, मतलब क्लोज हो चुका है और ओनली विड्रॉल्स उन लोगों का अभी स्टार्ट चालू है. सो बेसिकली वो सब पॉइंट्स है कि जो अभी 18% का जीएसटी जो रिवर्स चार्ज लगेगा, सो उसमें फीस एज ए इंस्टीट्यूशनल इन्वेस्टर या फिर जो ओटीसी ट्रेड करता है, सो 18% जीएसटी उसके ऊपर भी बहुत ज्यादा होती है. फीस के ऊपर 18% जीएसटी भी, फीस बाइनेंस फीस तो लेती है बट उसके ऊपर 18% जीएसटी भी हम लोगों को पे करना पड़ेगा. सो दीज आर द चैलेंजेस वी आर फेसिंग राइट नाउ.
Okay, thank you. And I think these challenges, till there is any regulation or anything which does not come out, we are always speculating. We are still wondering what is going to happen, like 1% TDS ka kya hone wala hai.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
One question.
Yes.
Why would Binance pay in GST to India, government of India?
Sorry?
Binance अपने से GST कलेक्ट करके उसको गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया को पे करने का कोई जरूरत है क्या?
नहीं एक्चुअली अभी रिसेंट आर्टिकल के अंदर अभी 18% रिवर्स चार्ज अभी इम्प्लीमेंट हुआ है.
So Binance also needs to pay back to government of India if Indian investors are trading on Binance platform. Will Binance comply?
Binance basically शायद तक तो नहीं
Binance will comply through WazirX subsidiary.
Yeah, through WazirX it has to, because it is an entity over here. But if it is like, let's say for example, चलो Kraken नहीं आया अभी तक इंडिया में, कोई entity setup नहीं किया है, but a lot of people who are trading with Kraken, उसके transactions पे आप 18% लगा दिए, Kraken के accountant लोग ये extra load लेंगे क्या कि GST recover करके government को pay back करे?
No, it won't work like that way. So the reverse charge works on this principle that the people who are trading, so the place effective management, if for Binance is proved to be in India, then the compliance the users have to pay to the government and not the cryptocurrency exchange. So that is just to discourage people from using global
foreign exchange.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you. I think that's all the questions that we had for today. We had a great session. Thank you so much. Yes जी, आपको कुछ और बोलना है?
I think Saurav is trying to say something. Yeah. Yes, Saurav.
Regarding the TDS, one thing, maybe I'm wrong. This 1% TDS, it is coming from 1st of July. So what I heard is that as an investor, you don't need to be afraid of that TDS, because with profits you can offset it. You can get it refunded out of that 30% taxes you are paying up. But for arbitrage who are putting it up on 0.25% or 0.4%, how they are going to get that refund of 1% TDS, because they are getting every trade and 0.25, 0.3. So because of that, maybe I think volumes are drying up.
That's true, Saurav, and that's very interesting, given I'm also involved with a high frequency trading firm on the crypto side. So if the spreads that a high frequency trader makes is less than 1%, then definitely that's not sustainable. It would dry up the capital in a very short amount of time. So it would be a very interesting stance to see what happens after 1st of July. It could be that the spreads increase to avoid this scenario. And yep, I think once that date hits, then only we can understand based on the volumes that are being traded. But definitely it's a big challenge for the arbitrageurs, for the high frequency traders who keep on churning capital to a great extent. For investors, once they purchase 1% TDS, it's not that they will have to regularly keep on rotating their capital, so it may still be a little fine with them, but it's very challenging for people who trade very frequently in this market.
And they can also get refunded. They can get it offset from their profits.
Yeah. So what's the whatever their ultimate tax liability is there at the end of the year, from that they'll get an offset of this TDS that has been deposited to the government. But again, if it blocks capital for ones who are very high frequency traders, then definitely that's a concern, because one would not want to wait for that 18-19 months for the refund to be processed.
Thank you. So with this, I think we would like to conclude this session and thank all the speakers for taking out time and sharing their views on today's panel discussion. I would also like to thank all the crypto enthusiasts who actively participated in today's session. Do download the CryptoWire app today and be a part of the global learning. We would request all of you to please share your valuable feedbacks on the session. This helps us enhance the sessions better. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. It was great interacting with you. It was an awesome panel discussion. Thank you so much.